Welcome to the Provider's Report, where we delve into the world of value-based healthcare. Our mission is to empower healthcare providers with the knowledge and tools they need to deliver exceptional patient care. Each episode, we explore best practices, innovative strategies, and real-world examples of how to achieve the highest standards in patient communication and outcomes. Join us as we transform the future of healthcare, one conversation at a time.
Hey guys, welcome to Better Doctor Project, where we interview healthcare providers to tap into their experiences so we can turn our challenges into our biggest strengths. We hope today's episode inspires you to take that next step to become who you want to be in practice. I'm Dr. Beck.
And I'm Dr. Mac.
Let's get started.
Hey guys, Dr. Mac here. I'm super excited that you're joining us today to talk about what amazing jugglers you and I are when it comes to work, family, self-care, and all those other things that we balance as healthcare providers. It's just as important to spend some time out of the office as in, to keep your priorities and passion in focus. Do you ever feel burnt out because you're just running from one place to another or one appointment to another? Or feel like your mind is wandering to other places as you try to think ahead instead of being fully present in the current moment? You are amazing, and each moment deserves all of you. In order to balance this without feeling overcommitted or stretched too thin, you have to hone in on where your happiness truly lies, what fills your cup. Surround yourself with the right inspirations and a supportive team, and allow yourself to take time for what matters so that you can be the happiest version of the amazing provider that you are. To help us unpack this topic today is Dr. Sherry McAllister, who works on this daily as she travels, writes articles, speaks at various engagements, has a private practice, and comes home to a busy and wonderful family. I know you'll love her heartfelt honesty about the ups and downs of taking time away from practice and working on what fulfills each of us. So make sure you keep your eyes peeled for a brand new podcast that she will be hosting starting next year in 2021 called Adjusted Reality. Until then, we're really excited to have her with us today on Better Doctor Project. So let's dive in.
Dr. Sherry McAllister, thank you so much for joining us today. How are you?
I am doing very well, ladies. Thank you for having me today.
It's our pleasure. So we're going to jump right in and talk about balancing clinical and non-clinical work, which you juggle beautifully with grace and aplomb. So I want to know what inspired you initially to start participating in non-clinical work, and what are some of those things that you're involved in now?
Well, let's start with currently what I'm doing. I'm the executive vice president for the Foundation for Chiropractic Progress. And I started this because I was surrounded from very passionate, loving, kind people like Dr. Mike Flynn. And he was on the board for the foundation, and he said, why don't you just volunteer and see if you like it? And lo and behold, that was one of the things that I absolutely love. And as time went on, I could see that this was a calling that I had not yet met, which is being really helpful to the community, and also to be able to showcase the greatest love I have, and putting that energy from my hands to the heart and be able to really just generate more excitement for the profession. And I think having the support of fantastic staff members, that Annabelle being one of them, and my family seeing the vision of what I'm trying to accomplish has led to some of the greatest joys I've had in the past 25 years of being a chiropractor.
That's amazing. And I know that, as you alluded to, your success is largely due to your passion, but I also know that it's not always a one-woman show, and you have a fantastic team behind you, no matter what your endeavors are. If they're traveling the country, traveling sometimes the world, whether you're on a pain summit, and I'm wondering, how do you choose who you surround yourself with, and how important is that to building your success and balancing life and practice?
So, Annabelle, it's a really good question, and I'm going to answer it with a experience that I had, and that was with a San Jose Police Department. Brought my teenagers in to learn more about drugs and the use of drugs. Part of because my greatest fear is that a teenager would start getting used to trying an opiate at a party, or injuring themselves through use of pharmacological aids or illicit drugs. So I brought them into a 1-hour program with the police department, and there were quite a few children there that were there. Some were there not because their mothers brought them in, but they had to take the course. What I recognized was something very important, and that is the San Jose Police Department, being very effective, said, show me your children's friends and I will show you their future. And I stopped and I thought about that. It goes for everything in life. You want to look at what your future looks like. It's based on the people that you surround yourself. In fact, one of my very good mentors would say, you become the person you are by the books you read and the people you surround yourselves with.
I love that.
So it really, that's kind of the beauty of it. And when you meet high energy, really well-educated people that are on the go and wanting to do more and more and more, you don't have an excuse because they're handling 6,000 things and you've only got 4,000. So you got to pick it up a pace. So I've learned a lot through teenagers, if that makes any sense. And the gift for understanding experience of where you're going to find your happiness is not in the things we buy, but the people that we enjoy. And I think that's a big part of where you'll pick up your energy and motivation is through others. And that's it. That's your greatest gift. It's not the material, it's the people in your life that really make a difference.
Absolutely. And it's definitely not just the energy too, but I think finding the balance in your own work patterns too. I know for myself, I'll let this slip, but Dr. Beck is absolutely the organizer of our team. I love coming up with big picture ideas, but goodness knows nothing would get done if it wasn't for her. So I know creating that team is so, so vital to success.
Absolutely.
It was so funny because I was going to interject by saying like the opposite, obviously, about my relationship with Annabelle, because she and I are so similar and so different at the same time. And I feel like that's just why it works. And everyone that knows us will say the same thing. We're like, we can totally tell that you two feed off of each other. And once you find someone like that in your life or a community like that, you want to keep them around. I mean, the same goes for, organizational networks within professions. You're going to want to gravitate toward the ones that make you the best person, the ones that make you the best provider. That's how I feel when I do any event with the American Chiropractic Association. I'm just drawn to it because everyone I'm surrounded with there, they're all go-getters. They're all super motivated. They're all looking at the big picture of healthcare. And you nailed it with those quotes. I love, love, love the teenager advice.
You have to put that in your next book, Life Lessons Learned from Teenagers.
Yes.
Sherry, it'll be a bestseller.
That's it.
So teenagers are obviously a huge part of your life. And I know you have a loving family. How do you balance family life in addition to all your professional activities? I know you travel a lot and certainly spend hours there in your beautiful study. How do you balance all of that with your family and their needs and your needs to be with them?
So there's 2 ingredients to make this recipe really work. And once you turn on the oven, it's too late. You got to know what your ingredients are. So you can't jump into things randomly because that's usually when you overbake and you burn out. Okay. So step 1 is the most important is you have to schedule and you have to get buy-in, especially with your family. So a lot of what I do is kind of, is based around boys' schedules. And so when I see a Boy Scout outing, I'm thinking, okay, where can we go and spread the chiropractic word? So they're typically, when I'm on the road, it's typically based on a nice balance for me is they're, hiking, biking, or in the wilderness with their troop leader who happens to be their dad. So it's a win-win. Sit down with the significant other in your life and see how you can really coordinate the calendars, because when you don't coordinate, it becomes very stressful, because then you're looking for who's taking care of the dogs and what's happening at this volunteer experience. It gets ugly. Once you get that first ingredient in the pot, you're good to cook. The second part of that is quality. You just like when you're cooking, you can use really cheap ingredients. It's not going to make it as good as if you use whole organic products. So the quality of time that you spend on what you're doing is extremely important. So I get a laugh out of this because I will make my children ensure that we have dinners and lunches or breakfast together. And that's quality time. And sometimes I think we forget that you don't have to be with them all the time, but you have to be with them with a quality attitude. And that goes for anything I think you do in life, is you have to be present to make your life less stressful.
It's funny you mentioned that, because this morning I literally listened to a podcast. It was TED Talks Daily, and they had an ER doc on there who was talking about how to use what she's learned for the emergency department in triaging everyday life and prioritizing. So she basically said, use the same concepts that emergency room physicians use, and that's how you prioritize your life. You devote quality time toward the things that matter. In the ER, you code things red, yellow, green, or black, and you can do the same thing in life. Know what has to be done first, and when you do those things, it has to be very strong quality. For example, even this podcast right now, if we were in a situation right now where I couldn't devote my attention or my time to this, it's not going to be done the way that we want it to be done. So definitely agree. Obviously, like Annabelle has mentioned, you are involved with so many things. I guess my question is, where do you find yourself finding that perfect ratio of clinical and non-clinical? For some people, I'm sure it's 50-50, right? For some people, it might be 80-20. Maybe it's kind of changed over the years, but have you found a really good ratio for you that's worked best?
Well, the word perfect scares me because I'm a Virgo. And perfection is something that I just strive for. So, this is a fluid thing. And as your life changes and the quality of the things that you do change, the balance will alter a little bit here and there. But for me, it became a important opportunity to bring in an associate when I started to see how far the balance was going and how much I loved what I was doing. And the balance comes with you identifying where your greatest happiness is and what you thrive on. And we just did an article at the Foundation for Thrive Global, and it's Arianna Huffington's new adventure. And it's really just building your happiness factor. How do you create a world that makes you thrive? So the balance changes year to year. And I absolutely love treating patients. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. However, the secret of my success is that I'm finding great pleasure in being able to showcase to a larger audience what every chiropractor does on a daily basis, and how incredibly moving it is to see more and more patients coming towards chiropractic to enhance their health. So as a balance, I'm probably now more on the love the foundation 70% and my practice 30%. And that could change even more as I start to get greater opportunities that I think will really help the foundation move forward and progress at a level we've never seen before. We're going to launch into next year for the Olympics, and it's going to be epic. It's going to be historic for us to be in a place where 250 million people will see what chiropractic can do and the benefit and the story that's behind it, and maybe think about a career in chiropractic. And you'll see the shift a little bit, because we've got Olympic athletes that sign up that absolutely love us. They love our hands. They love our willingness to educate. But more importantly, they love that we care about them as a person. And we're looking after their entire health. We're not just saying, your wrist hurts, I'm only going to talk to you about your wrist. So the balance shifts as you start to find what you really love. And I'd have to say that it's okay not to feel guilty, because I came into chiropractic to put my hands on patients, and I would tell my husband that, I feel anxious, and he'd say, he's very philosophical, which I love, and he'd say, people get anxious when they think too far in the future, and you need to be more present. And so I'd say, well, here's the thing is, these are like family members. And he said, yes, but so is the nation that you're teaching. You have to look at it in ways that you're not feeling guilty that your hands aren't busy on a patient, but they're busy educating the masses on what you do and loving it.
So for the non-chiropractors that are listening to this podcast, could you maybe explain a little bit more about what the foundation is doing with the Olympics?
Absolutely. We have an opportunity to create a 30-second advertisement that showcases a storyline, and it is brought to you by an actual chiropractor who was competing in the Olympics, was injured, and she showcased how it changed her life. And the best part was, not only did it change her life and her performance, she became a chiropractor, and it gets one step better. She's actually now treating Olympic hopefuls. And
Wow.
So it's like a full circle. It kind of gave me a chill down my spine.
Yeah.
When I first heard the story, I wanted to cry, because I'm like, it can't be this amazing. And
Wow.
and sure enough, she's touched so many lives by just being that athlete and being out there and then being able to really change the way athletes look at their bodies.
Amazing. I love that. Thank you.
Yeah, it doesn't get any better than that.
No.
Sherry, I know you have the opportunity often to work with a lot of other healthcare providers. I know you worked with nurse practitioners at Johns Hopkins and sat on pain summits and talked to so many different types of providers. And really, we all feel the same way. We want to take care of our patients, and we want to do the best by them and have success in every single direction. And I'm wondering, do you recommend that every type of healthcare provider get involved with some kind of extra clinical work? Or do you think that that's maybe not the path for every person?
Well, every person is different, but I will tell you this: we enrich our lives by experiences. And the more experiences we have, the greater our opportunity to help our patients, because we will have heard a story or met a patient or really created a learning environment for yourselves and others. And in the particular area where I like to listen to others and see where they're coming from, the experiences that you bring to your patients are critical. So getting out into the community and talking to a variety of people allows you to really hear, maybe there's a little anxiety for that patient to explain to you about something. I was working with the SWAT team for my area. These are tactically trained, really elite athletes. And from the sniper to the forced entry guy, there is no doubt that these are very specific individuals. If I hadn't had that experience of working so off the beaten path for me, it was fearful. Like, I was afraid when the guns were going off and the snipers involved, and there's flashbangs and smoke, and it's exciting and it's extraordinary. But if I hadn't have gone out and pushed my fear level to be with, over 50 guys and one girl, I would say that I would never have the same respect when my police officers come in, because I got to see, hear, and taste all of what they go through. And I am a big fan of our first responders, our paramedics, our firefighters, our nurses, our ER doctors, and our officers that keep us safe. And that's the kind of experience I would encourage every doctor to engage in, is to see what's going on in their environment and then see how they can adapt to it. Mother Teresa is someone that I absolutely look up to, and her quote that sticks with me on a regular basis is, "Do small things with great love." And if you think it's too overwhelming, take it in smaller bites, smaller steps, and you'll be able to do something that will bring a better clinical experience, but also enrich your own life, creating a greater happiness for you.
I know you take that love into every single patient room when you see them, Sherry. And Do you also sometimes take some of these stories as well? Like when you have to spend time away from your practice and you come back, patients are probably like, where have you been? Do you share some of these stories and experiences with them? How do you explain your time away from the office?
So there's been being away from the office is really difficult. Part because things have happened in my personal practice where I did have one of my officers. I'm going to name him Fred. He travels with me everywhere I go when we talk about pharmacological aids. Fred was injured in a pursuit on foot, and during the arrest, he hurt his neck pretty bad. I was in Texas at a Parker seminar, and it's hard to forget because it pushes you to be a better doctor. Fred called me, and I said, I'll be back on Sunday morning. We can meet up in my office. I went to the ER, and they gave me some pills. And I said, I'll be there as soon as I can. I said, so if you can, try to avoid them. But if it's hard to tell someone not, if they're in a lot of pain, to not do something to help them. I said, try the ice, try the heat, see what works best for you. But I'll be back on Sunday morning. Unfortunately, Fred took the Vicodin and he passed away of a heart attack. So it hurts me because being away from the office is painful, because Fred travels everywhere with me. He's got wings now, because now I know that I need to stop, think, and help as much as I can when I'm not there. And when I'm not there, make sure my associates are ready and willing to jump in. Hindsight 2020, you wish things were different, but I now describe to my patients where I'm going, what I'm doing, and why it's so important. And I hope I have their support. I've never had a patient jump off the table and say, absolutely not. If you're not here for me, I'm not here for you. They get it. My patients really do get it. And they unfortunately, they'll wait for me. And that's where it becomes painful, because with being a chiropractor, it's like your family members. You want to go to Aunt Jane, you don't want to go to Uncle Ed, right? So you want to wait for Aunt Jane to come back.
Definitely.
It's hard when you see, we see our patients so frequently, right, as chiropractors. And so we develop this really close relationship. And I know a lot of other professions that see their patients so frequently, you just develop that bond. And yeah, it gets very personal. And it's so great that you have associates, Sherry, to, manage the office when you're gone. But I know sometimes patients want what they want, and we just do our best to deliver, love them, and be the best we can be.
Yeah.
And help other providers to do the same and make sure nobody falls through the cracks.
Yeah, absolutely.
So getting back to what we're talking about balancing everything, and knowing just from my personal experience being an overscheduled person, are there any apps or strategies or things that we can really take home to help us balance our busy lives as providers, as family members, and our personal lives?
Well, I do love a few apps, so I'll share them with you. They're what works for me. So if it works for you, great. One of them is Asana, and that's an app that really helps you know where you're at and what level of commitment you have. And so I'll put, as soon as I think about something, put it in the Asana app so I can remind myself where that project sits. And especially when it's a big project and it's got multiple pieces to it, it can be overwhelming if you don't put it down somewhere. And the best part, when you travel like I do, I can't have a bunch of paper walking around with me. So it has to be in an app. It has to be something that I can just click on and go, oh, that's right, we have to get that done today. So Asana is a nice one to organize. I will tell you my one secret and piece that really keeps me grounded and I just love is the Croker app. And it makes you schedule meditations. It makes you schedule your workouts, and it gets you up. And it's quite glorious because it'll get you first thing in the morning and say, hey, guess what? You're on 21 days of wellness through stress. And here's the video. Just click it and click what time you'd like. So you don't even get to think about it, which is great. You just have to do it. And then when it comes, because it'll look for a spot in your calendar that's not booked, and it'll suggest that time. Guess what? 1:00 in the morning is available.
All right, that sounds like the greatest app that's ever been created.
Nothing like midnight meditation.
Yes.
Fantastic.
The last app that I really have enjoyed too is the Nike Training Club. Because when you download it, it's another way to get motivated, and they do training runs. So you can go like on a 5-mile run with a coach, and he'll encourage and motivate, or she will encourage and motivate you. So sometimes when you're thinking about putting your running clothes on and you're like, it gets you motivated again to get busy, and you can take it on travels with you. It's a nice piece, and you can get your friends involved, and they can cheer you on while you're running. It's a fun app.
That's really cool.
Yeah, well, we're going to be looking these up in 5 minutes when we get up here, because that's going right in my phone. So thank you. Thank you so much for sharing everything today, for sharing all these tips, all these personal stories. And Fred is going to be right there with us too as we go through this journey, because it's those kinds of experiences that we're looking to share, because these are the things we're going to remember as providers as we move forward and we're confronted with challenges. These are how we're going to turn those into our strengths, because we have people like Fred to help us be stronger and help us be better doctors. So thank you so much for sharing everything with us today, Sherry, and we really, really appreciate your time.
My pleasure, ladies. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Hey guys, it's Dr. Beck. Isn't Dr. McAllister amazing? So obviously today's episode was pretty jam-packed with some great information. So we're going to have links to everything in our show notes, don't worry. Make sure you head to betterdoctorproject.com to check those out so you have access to everything that we talked about in today's episode. Clearly, there's a lot of gold content here, so we're going to be chatting about everything over the next couple weeks on our Instagram page at Better Doctor Project. Make sure you tag a friend, get a friend to follow us to get information too. Make that next big step today, guys. All of us want to be more time sensitive and prioritize and get things done more efficiently. And this is how. We have to get advice from other people and learn how they do it. So let's make that goal, guys. Take that next step today. Try something new. Download that new app. Find something that's going to make you more productive and ultimately the best provider you can be. I know you can do it. I promise. See you guys in 2 weeks. Thanks so much for tuning in today.
We loved connecting with you today on this episode of the Better Doctor Project. We can't wait to share our next podcast with you in just 2 weeks. Same time, same place. Until then, pop over to Instagram to follow us at Better Doctor Project or keep up with us at betterdoctorproject.com.
Thank you for tuning in to the Provider's Report. We hope you found today's episode valuable and inspiring. To stay updated with our latest episodes, subscribe to our podcast wherever you like to listen. For more resources and continuing education opportunities, visit our website. Together, we can make a difference in the lives of our patients and truly set a standard for value-based healthcare.